Oh hey, what's going on? Before we start, did you know that we added 4 hours of brand new premium lo-fi to Streambeats? So if you're looking for some calming new music for your streams or for your YouTube videos or just day-to-day life, I'll link to that down in the description below. 4 albums, 4 hours, 120 tracks. Enjoy it. We're doing something fun today, something we haven't done in a while, and frankly, it's long overdue. I'm tuning up my stream. I haven't redesigned my stream in like 2 to 3 years, and it needs some improvement. I think the last time I put real work into it is when I did like these big super widescreen overlays and animated alerts and everything, and it looks great for the time, but I want something a little bit more minimal, but with a little bit of flair. You know, just like that little thing that makes people go, whoa, how did he do that? And this time the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna utilize a little bit of motion into the stream and we're gonna automate it. So when someone subscribes or drops bits, the camera actually resizes real subtly and reveals the alert underneath it. And I'm gonna be spending about a week on this, adding in some stuff, spending some time in Blender, filling in these dark areas right here. But first, I just wanted to show you how this is done. And by the end of it, I want you to know how to let your chat move and resize all of your sources and cameras and whatever you have on your stream. Let's jump to it. By the way, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I really like what he's doing, but I want to add some really cool alerts to it, I got good news for you. Owned.tv, who's your one-stop shop for all your stream alerts and overlay needs, they got you covered, and they're the sponsor of this video, so thank you. Their library of professionally designed alerts is massive. Seriously, I'm looking at it right now, and there's like over 200 different alert designs. You got some cool Call of Duty neon ones. You got some gooey splatter alerts. What else we got? This one called Skyla looks really cool. If you got a spare couple minutes today, I highly recommend you just browse through all the alerts and see if any of them, you know, whirl your biscuit. It's whirl your dervish. My father-in-law said that the other day, and it stuck with me. Whirl your dervish. Anyway, massive library of amazing animated alerts, and you can get 50% off by using code SENPAI, or just use the link in the description down below, which by the way, if you use that, it supports the channel, so thank you for doing that. Let's jump into the tutorial. Welcome to the stream setup. Let me show you what we're gonna be making today. You can see I'm on my just chatting scene here, which is just my camera, full screen. What happens is when someone subscribes, throw a fake sub in there, the camera shrinks up and the sub alert comes out from underneath it. And when it's done, they both go back to where they were before. I love this kind of alert. It's not like big and fancy and in your face and distracting, but it's just got that minimal wow factor to it. So let's jump into a fresh scene and let me show you how this works. Now, as I mentioned before, we're gonna be adding to this in the full version, maybe some sound effects, also something to go in this black gap here. But for now, let's just get a Twitch subscriber activating the movement there. There are 2 things that you're gonna need for this. The first one is Move Transition. It's an OBS plugin by the legend Exceldro. It's what allows you to preset the placement of different things. For example, the new placement of the camera as it shrinks in. And once you have all your movements set up in the Move Transition plugin, then you go over to Aitum over here. And Aitum is the software that takes the new subscriber that comes in and tells the Move Transition to start. The first thing we need to do is set the movement of this camera. What we need to do is we just need to set 2 different placements or transforms, telling the plugin we want the camera to be like this sometimes and like this sometimes. And the way to do that is you actually put this plugin on the scene itself. So I'm gonna go to my chatting scene, I'm gonna hit the filters button right there, and I'm gonna add a move source filter. We're gonna call this one camera normal. Basically saying this is the normal placement of this camera. It asks you which source you're using, and then all you have to do is hit this get transform button. And it tells the plugin, this transform that we have right now, just filling up full screen, that's what we want. Then we're gonna add one more the same way. We're gonna call this one camera alert, saying this is where we want the camera to move to when the alert happens. We're gonna bring it up a little bit, maybe to about 80 pixels-ish. I'm also gonna right click on the source here. I'm gonna go to transform and I'm gonna say center horizontally, just to bring it right into the middle there. And so this is where we want it to move to when there's an alert. So we go to camera alert, make sure we got the right source, and go to get transform. And that's the whole thing. Watch this. If I click the little camera normal eye right here, it goes back down. Then I click the alert, it goes up. Click the normal again, goes back down. It's going a little fast for me. Let's slow it down. Let's change these durations. That's how long it takes to move to that position. Let's make them 1,000 milliseconds. It's gonna take a whole second to move to these different positions. So now, oh, that looks nice. Let's bring it back down. That's gonna look good. And we're done with the camera. Let's move over to Aitum and automate that happening. So here in Aitum, we have these shortcuts that say, when this happens, do this, and those are called rules. We're gonna add a new rule. And the only two things we need to set are a trigger saying when this happens, that's the trigger. In this case, we're talking about a new subscriber, do this, and that this is the action. So we set a trigger for the sub and an action for the move the camera. So with a new trigger, the device, the sub obviously comes from Twitch. So we're gonna make it a Twitch device. The trigger is gonna be a subscription. So we have a Twitch subscription. Doesn't need to be from a specific person, doesn't need to be a specific tier. We're done with the trigger. Let's add the action. Now what we're telling it is when something happens on Twitch, something is gonna happen in OBS. So this one is gonna be OBS, and the action is gonna be change scene filter, because remember that filter was on our scene. Change scene filter visibility. The scene is our chatting scene. As you can see right here, it's chatting. And then the filter, we're gonna make it cam alert, because when someone subscribes, we want it to activate that cam alert filter. And we're gonna say, turn it visible. Because remember, to activate these movement filters, you turn the little eyeball to be visible. And that should work. Now, I don't want to go through and pay $5 to test this, so I'm going to change it a little bit just for testing. Rather than a real subscription, I'm just going to have a chat message that says sub. We're going to save it. Let's pull in our Twitch chat. You can see I've been testing this a lot today. Now, if I type in sub, here we go. The camera moves up. We did it. But it's going to stay up there. We got to get it to come back down. Now, I think I'd like this to last about 6 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another action, because you can have one trigger multiple things. So what we need it to do is whenever someone subs, it triggers the cam alert filter that lifts the camera up. It waits 6 seconds and then it lowers it back down. So we're going to add a new action here. We're going to give it a 6-second delay. Now you can see it says right there, delay 6 seconds before this one. And we're gonna do the same thing. OBS, change scene filter visibility, go to our chatting scene. And this time we're gonna activate camera normal. I'm gonna make that one visible. Let's save it. And now, sub brings it up. It's gonna wait 6 seconds. And then it brings it back down. We've pretty much already finished this. Now we just need to do it one more time with text behind it instead. Let's go ahead and add some text in here. I'm just gonna add a text source. We're gonna call this one, I don't know, sub alert. Harris Heller just gave Twitch 250. There we go. Proper punctuation. Let's make it all uppercase too. To make it easier to move into place, let's go ahead and activate the camera alert space so we know where it needs to go. I'm gonna lock the camera too, because that was a mistake there. We want to start here, and then as the camera lifts up, the text is gonna move down. So let's set the 2 different positions of the text. Let's center it horizontally. This is a good place to start with. So we're gonna add another filter to this scene. It's gonna be move source again. We're gonna call this one alert normal. This is where it's gonna sit most of the time. It's not gonna be the camera 1 source. It's gonna be the sub alert. Let's make this one the same length as the camera movement. And we're gonna say get transform, because it's already in place. Let's move it straight down, and it's gonna go right there. Now I shifted it a little bit, so let's just center it one more time. That way it's directly straight down from where we were before. And we're gonna add one more. Now there's a faster way to do this. We can just right click and hit duplicate. We're gonna call this one alert, I guess. And you can see now we got the same source, we got the same duration. Everything is duplicated from the previous one. We just hit transform again. We just need to put it behind the camera. So now it's behind the camera. Let's get rid of these red lines. It pops right out. We just currently have 2 actions that happen, moving the camera up and moving the camera back down. And before we move any further, let's actually rename these. Move camera up, move camera down. So now we know what they are. We need to make another action. This one's gonna move the text down. So this one again is gonna be OBS, change scene filter visibility, same exact thing. Chatting scene, filter. This one's gonna be alert. Actually, that's not true. Sorry, alert. Because it's gonna activate that alert one and it's gonna bring it down. Gonna make it visible. And we're gonna move it up above this delay. It's gonna happen at the exact same time as the camera movement. Name this one, and we're just gonna duplicate this one. And this one's gonna be alert normal. We're gonna call it move text back up. Let's reset all this real quick. Camera goes up, text goes down. Should wait 6 seconds. And they both go right back. It's perfect. We already have a fantastic alert going on here. There's one problem though. That text isn't gonna change every time someone subs. Let's do that real quick. Let's move the camera out of the way and just focus on the text for just a second here. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add one more action to happen before anything moves. Now we're gonna choose OBS. We're just gonna find it here. We're gonna type text, change text source properties. Text source is gonna be sub alert. just like this. And the text is gonna say, Twitch username just gave Twitch 250. And this is all custom stuff. Don't worry too much about it. Let's save it. Let's name it. Move it to the top here. Now let's go ahead and change the text here for now, just so we can see if it actually changes back to Harris Heller. We'll say Pokimane just gave Twitch 250. Now, even though it says Pokimane in the text behind the camera right now, if I set this off, it should change to Harris Heller. In fact, I'm gonna show you that by getting rid of this. Ready? There we go. Let's see what it looks like with the camera there. That is fantastic. That is a beautiful alert. Oh, actually, before I forget, you know what else we need to do? We need to change this back to sub. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Save it, and now it will actually work. We can just actually title our rule here, sub alert. There's one more thing we have to do. The problem we're gonna run into here is if 2 people sub within those 6 seconds, it's gonna reset and it's gonna try to do everything all over again immediately when the second sub comes in, and we don't want that to happen. We want the first sub to finish and then the next sub to start. And we're actually gonna use a brand new feature that Aitum just launched today, which is called queues. You set up a queue, and as subs happen, they line up in the queue and they happen one at a time. So we're gonna add a queue here. We're gonna call it alerts and just put 1 in these. Don't worry too much about what they do. Hey, one thing real quick, I was actually wrong about that. The queue time indicates how long the queue waits to go to each one. So what you wanna do is you wanna take the total time of your alert and then add 1 extra second just for safety. So our alerts that we're making were 6 seconds long. Remember that 6-second delay? So we would actually put a 7 in this box, and that'll end up being perfect. That's all. Back to the video. And now we have a brand new queue, and all you're gonna do here is in sub alert, you're gonna click on no queue, you're gonna switch it to alerts, and now every time an alert comes in, they'll line up right in here. If you have 10 alerts in the queue, this number will say 10. If you have 1, it'll just say 1. If you don't have any, it'll say 0. And that's the whole thing. It's done. You have the coolest alerts on Twitch. You didn't even have to use Stream Elements or Stream Alerts. Stream Elements or Streamlabs. I forgot what it was called. And now that you know how this works, you can take it a little bit further. If you want the name of the person who subbed to be a different color, you can do that. Now it's a little tricky because OBS doesn't let you have 2 colors in a single text source. So you'll have to make 2 different text sources, have Aitum adjust the name of the first one that's a different color, and then activate a filter that brings them both down. But what I'd really love to do is next week and a half or so, I'm gonna do a video showing the entire revamp of my overlay, maybe my favorite 3 things that I've done, including this one. And in that video, I'd love to show off some of the cool creative things that you guys did. So if you spend the next couple days messing around with this, toying around with move transitions and Aitum, go ahead and screen record your creations and tweet them at me, and I'll share my favorite couple in the next video. But that's gonna be it. Did I miss anything? If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments down below, and hit the like button while you're down there, because if you're still watching, you obviously liked the video. And as always, happy streaming.